All right, in this basic Blender tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this simple cloth simulation. And it's not meant to be, something very neat or anything. Just give you the basics of how to create a cloth simulation. That's it. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave a comment below and I will try to answer your questions. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, in this example, we will be using 4.5.1 LTS, but it's going to be the same in pretty much every version of Blender unless you go way, way, way back. All right, first thing we're going to do is create a cup, and I'm going to add mesh and then cylinder. And we're going to make this very simple, not going to be fancy. I'm going to add a basic material to it. I'm going to press Tab to take it into edit mode, go to face select this top face, zoom in just a little bit, and then press S or press I for inset, and then bring it into about there. Go to front side view by pressing 1, and then go into wireframe so you can actually see through it, and then press E for extrude, and then bring this down to about right there. And now if we go back into solid view, we can actually see we made a very basic cup. Now go ahead and change this to edge select, and then we already have this inner edge selected, so we want to go ahead and select this outer edge. So press Shift Alt and then select, Shift Alt select, Shift Alt select. Now let's add a bevel. Control B, and then just add a bevel. I'm just going to add one cut because we're not trying to create anything fancy, just somewhat something that'll play well with physics. All right, so let's go ahead and press Tab to exit edit mode, and we can put this on shade smooth to make it look a little bit better, but we need to actually, because the shading looks a little funny. It's not bad. It's fine. And at this point, let's go ahead and add a floor. All right, but before I add a floor, I'm going to go ahead and press G for grab, Z for the Z axis, and then bring this up to about there, just above where the floor will be. Add mesh, and then plane. This will be our floor. Scale, S for scale, 100, just to make it large. And then Control A to apply the scale, because anytime you change the size of something, when it's going to be a physics object, you should apply the scale. And you can always tell whether the scale is applied right here. If it all shows 1, then the scale has been applied. All right. Now, we're going to add a little bit of thickness to this floor just so the cloth has better contact with it. Go to the modifiers, add modifier, generate, and solidify. And we're just going to bring this to about, let's just 0.1 is fine. And then click apply. Now, this origin point is at the top instead of in the middle. It's generally not a big deal here, but if we was working with rigid body, it would mess it up a little bit. So it's a good habit. Just go ahead and set the origin to center of volume on physics objects, unless you specifically have a case where you need it somewhere else. All right, now let's just move this cup to the surface of the floor. G for grab, Z, and we don't have to be exactly precise, just close. All right, now we're going to make this cup a collision object. So with the cup selected, click on the physics tab, go to collision, and these are our soft body and cloth settings down here. They look about right. That's fine. Same thing with the floor, collision, and those settings look about right. All right, now let's go ahead and before we go any further, click File, Save, and I'm just going to give this a generic name, Toot, but you will need to have your project saved before you can generate the cache files that are needed for a cloth simulation. All right, so right now let's go ahead and create the cloth. Add mesh, plane, and then S for scale, and we'll just bring it up to about right there. It's just bigger than the cup. Control A, apply the scale, G for grab, Z for the Z axis, and then just bring it up to about right here. All right, now let's go on the top side view, and let's go ahead and go into wireframe so we can actually see what we're doing. And let's go ahead and take this into edit mode, and we'll add some cuts or some subdivisions so that there are places where the cloth can actually bend, because without adding subdivisions, the cloth can't bend. There's no edge or no vertices for it to bend. So I'm going to click on subdivide, and then down here, let's set this to about 50. Plenty of cuts. and then press tab to exit edit mode, and then come up here to cloth, click on cloth, and there are only a couple settings we need to change. Now on cache, go ahead and click disk cache, and where are you at? Apparently I'm having trouble saying. Oh, here it is, collisions. Probably set this to 3, and on self collision, and I would set this to 0.01 instead of 0.1015. All right, now let's go ahead and just do a rough simulation, see what it looks like. All we have to do is, at this point, go ahead and click File, Save, and then just click Play. Simple enough. All right, so we know our physics is working. So at this point, we see it takes about the frame 60 for the cloth to settle. So that's going to be our key. That's going to be the point at which the sphere comes out of the cup and pushes the cloth away. All right, so let's go ahead and go in the front side view, and let's add mesh, and then this will be our UV sphere. Now let's scale this down a little bit so it actually fits inside the cup. And we're going to press G for grab, Z for the Z axis, bring it up to about right there so it's actually fully inside the cup. And we don't need to actually add a material to this because you're not even going to see the sphere. But it is a physics object, and all of these don't show 1, so we do need to apply the scale. Control A and apply the scale. Now we need to make this a collision object, and on this we are going to take this outer, the outer one right here, and set this to 0.1. That way there's less chance of the cloth actually intersecting the mesh of the sphere. The sphere will start affecting the cloth a little bit away from making actual contact. I hope that makes sense. I'm not explaining it very well, but that's okay. And we don't want the cloth to accidentally slide off the sphere, so we're going to turn the friction up. 15 would probably be enough. And that's probably all the settings that need to be set for that, other than we need to actually make it keyframe it. So we're going to come to frame 60. Go ahead and add the keyframe, and then come up here to frame 100, and G for grab, Z for the Z axis, bring it up here. Now I got 2 keyframes, and then go up here to, let's say frame 150. G for grab, X for the X axis, and bring it right here. And then I'm going to rotate it on the X axis, actually on the Y axis, to about right there. That way, as it's accelerating, it's kind of leaning into the acceleration, I guess. And then from here, let's go to frame 200 and press G for grab, and then move it up here out of camera. All right, now let's try this. If I got the keyframes right this time. Sometimes my old brain messes up. Click play, cloth falls, ball goes straight up, and then to the right, and then up out of camera. All right, good enough. Now let's actually bake this simulation. Come up here to the click on the cloth, go to the physics tab, come down here to bake, and let's just click bake, and it will actually do a more precise calculation. Now I went up to 250 because I have this set to 250, which is fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and change this from this extra wide to standard 1920. All right, now let's kind of position the camera. Whoops, want the camera, not the cloth. Click play, see what it looks like. All right, so now I need to, right around here, I need to have the camera. I need to keyframe the camera. And then go to about right here, and I need to move this over to about right here. Maybe back up just a little bit, go up just a little bit, and I'm going to keyframe it. And see, now it moves, but zooms out of the, well, I'll have to move that just a little bit more. All right, I want this to actually come out of the screen. So I need to select this sphere, go to this, and then press G for grab and move it up here. Little simple modification. Now go back to the beginning, click on the cloth, go to the physics tab, delete bake, and then click bake again. That way it will update the cache files and the cloth will react like it's supposed to. Now it should zoom out of the camera's view. Good enough. All right, that's the last frame that needs to be rendered is 182. All right, now let's go ahead and give this cup some materials. I'm just going to give it a basic material. I'm just going to make it a red cup or kind of a pink cup. All right, nothing fancy. On the cloth, I'm going to give this a sort of a silk looking color. I'm going to give this kind of a, let's just make it a bluish, silky color. Make it a little bit on the shiny side because silk is kind of shiny. And that will probably be it. And we're going to come up here to Object, Shade Smooth. And we need to add a modifier. Now this modifier will make the cuts look like there's a whole lot more cuts. So we're going to come up here to Add Modifier, Generate, Subdivision Surface. And I'm going to go ahead and uncheck Optimal Display. And we can keep that set to 0 for the viewport, but it will add 2 cuts in the render itself. That way it looks more silky, more smooth. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to go into camera view. Now, right now, I'm going to look at it, see what that looks like rendered. See, well, it's a little bit too shiny. Let me add a little bit less shine to it. Render image. Good enough. I mean, it looks more rubbery than silky, but that's okay. And if I was to go to the modifiers tab and then just turn this off, this is what it would look like. Not much difference, but you can kind of see the little, you can see the individual faces to an extent. All right. And we don't want to do that. So we'll just turn those back on. And I think we're almost ready. Now this floor, I'm just going to give this a generic material, sort of a dark gray color. And I do need to reposition this camera just a little bit on the Z-axis, just down a little bit. And that's about it. I think we are ready. Render image. Now let's add some depth of field so that the background is blurry. That way it kind of creates sort of a separation between the background and our subject, which is the cloth. I'm going to right side view by pressing 3, and this right here is our focus point. All right, go to camera, and if you don't see that, go to viewport display and click on limits, and then that will show that. And then click on depth of field, and what we want to do, we want to adjust this so that it's basically where the cloth is. All right, and we're going to, let's say, go right here because that's where the camera starts to move. And we're going to keyframe that distance. Go here to the next keyframe, and we're going to keyframe this distance. That way the focus stays on the cloth. All right, now let's set the f-stop. Let's start with 0.2, and we'll see what that looks like. Press 0 to go back into camera view, and then press preview. Didn't add much depth of field to it at all, so let's turn this to 0.025. That's a little too much. 0.05 should do it. All right, that works. And I just thought about this. My default Blender has an HDRI in the background, so that's why I see this image basically as the background. If you don't have one, you need to add it here to make it look better. And go to HDRI Haven. I think they changed the name, but maybe I think it's called Polygon or something now. But they have a whole bunch of them, and you can download a whole bunch of them for free. That's what I done years ago. All right, now I think that looks good enough. I'm going to come up here to the render settings, and that looks about right. 128, which shouldn't need more than 128 samples. 0.005, 0.01 to 0.005 is typically where I put it. And motion blur is on. Now let's go ahead and set up an output. I have this set up where it automatically creates a folder called rendered frames and then one. Now I think I have something in that. I think I already have some files there, so let me go ahead and double check. Here, no, I don't, so it'll work. And I'm just going to use those. I'm going to use placeholders because I want to use multiple GPUs, and that way I can have multiple instances rendering. So I'm going, at this point, I'm going to press file. I'm going to get out of render preview, file, save, and edit preferences. And I'm going to set this to here, go to optics. And I forgot, I need to make sure, in my case, where you at? Right here. I'm going to change this to RTX 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte. That way I have the label on the render showing which GPU is rendered with. All right, file, save, render animation. Move that over here. Open this up. Open the same toot up. Edit preferences. And I'm already have it set to the other GPU, and then render animation. And now what the frames the other GPU isn't rendering, this one's rendering. All right. It shouldn't take long at all. You can see how quickly it's spitting out frames, roughly every 3 seconds or so. Of course, this GPU is always going to be slightly faster than this one, the way I have it currently set up, and that's because this GPU is using a single 3.0 PCI lane, and this one's using 8 5.0 lanes. I need to get a bifurcation card so that I can split them off evenly. It's just the way that this motherboard is. But anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I know this is kind of a basic beginner's type tutorial, but realistically, that's all I'm ever going to do because I'm not that good at tutorials in general. But like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Guess that's it. Later, people.